Howdy folks, it's the third week of June 2025, and welcome to This Week in the West. I'm Seth Spillman, broadcasting from the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. On this podcast, we share stories of the people and events that shaped the history, art, and culture of the American West, and those still shaping it today. In the summer of 1898, two young artists bounced their way across the rugged terrain of the West in a rickety wagon bound for Mexico. They didn't know much about pioneering. They'd spent the past few years at a studio in New York City and studying painting in Paris. But they had heard how the West could inspire artists, so away they went. Then, somewhere in northern New Mexico, they shattered a wagon wheel. They were close to the village of Taos, so, as the story goes, they flipped a coin, and one of them, Ernest Blumenschein, rode off to get help, leaving his friend Bert Geer Phillips to guard their gear and wait. Today we remember Phillips on the anniversary of his death, June 16, 1956, and the remarkable impact that moment on the side of the trail would have on the history of Western art. 3 days after setting out, Blumenschein returned, not just with a mended wheel, but with wide eyes and an urgent sense that they'd stumbled onto something extraordinary. He wove a tale for Phillips about not just the natural beauty of the Taos Pueblo, but the work being done by Native American potters and Mexican artisans. Instead of pressing further south, why not settle there and spend the fall painting? For Phillips, it would be a permanent stop. The broken wheel hadn't stalled a journey, it sparked an art movement. Bert Geer Phillips was born July 15, 1868, in Hudson, New York. As a youngster, he was a voracious reader of dime novels and tales of Kit Carson, Buffalo Bill, and the wilds of the West. He'd always been interested in art and painting, and by the age of 16, he was a member of the Art Students League and the National Academy of Design. He set off for Paris in the 1890s, where he met Ernest Blumenschein and Joseph Henry Sharp. It was Sharp who planted the idea of New Mexico in the men's minds. He had visited Taos a few years earlier and spent time painting portraits of the landscapes and native people. By the time Phillips and Blumenschein had settled in, Taos was still a rough town on the edge of the frontier. Tensions were sometimes high between the newly arrived white settlers, the Hispanic population, and the native community. At one point, Phillips and another artist sparked a scuffle during a Catholic ceremony by refusing to remove their hats. While accounts differ, the incident heightened existing strain between newcomers and locals. Phillips later wrote to Blumenschein, "I began to feel as if this was the real border life, and only wish Kit Carson was here with us." While Blumenschein initially returned to New York, he too would later return to Taos and join the movement Phillips had begun. Phillips stayed behind from the start. He rented a studio and immersed himself in the local culture, making friendships, observing ceremonies, and painting scenes of Pueblo life. In 1899, he married Rose Martin, whose brother, Dr. Thomas Doc Martin, was one of the town's most respected citizens. Their home, built around the old Taos Plaza, became a gathering place for artists and intellectuals. From that base, Phillips began to build the vision that would become the Taos Society of Artists. He wrote to Blumenschein with ideas of forming a colony where artists could live, work, and exhibit together. In 1915, that vision became a reality when Phillips, Blumenschein, Sharp, and 3 others formed the society in the dining room of the Martin home. It was the beginning of an enduring chapter in American art history. Phillips' style was unabashedly romantic. He painted native figures by firelight, capturing quiet moments steeped in reverence. Unlike those contemporaries who were turning toward modernism, Phillips stayed true to realism. He made an effort to understand the dress, customs, and spiritual life of Native Americans while still painting them in an idealized fashion. Phillips' contribution went beyond the canvas. He was a key advocate for the natural environment, helping push for the creation of what would become Carson National Forest, even acting informally as a forest ranger. Bert Geer Phillips died in Taos in 1956, having spent nearly 6 decades in the town. It continued to flourish as an arts-focused community, drawing the likes of George O'Keeffe and modernist Andrew Dasburg. English novelist D.H. Lawrence had a ranch there. Today, it remains a hub of Western art. It has more than 80 art galleries, 3 museums, and the preserved homes of some of the original members of the Taos Society of Artists. We're celebrating the creativity and importance of Western art right now here at the Cowboy. We have some of Phillips' work on exhibit in our Taos Society of Artists gallery, and we're hosting the 53rd annual Prix Invitational Art Exhibition and Sale, which gathers many of the best contemporary Western artists in the world, showcasing more than 270 new creations. The exhibition is on view through August 3rd. Art sale weekend is June 20th through 21st. If you're interested, you can find out more at pdw.nationalcowboymuseum.org. And with that, we've fixed the wagon wheel on another episode of This Week in the West. Our show is produced by Chase Spivey and written by Mike Kaler. Follow us and rate us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you hear us. That'll help us reach more people. You can follow us on social media and online at nationalcowboymuseum.org. Got a question or a suggestion? Drop us an email at podcast@nationalcowboymuseum.org. We leave you today with the words of Philip's daughter, Margaret, following his death. My father used to tell us as children that when he came to Taos, there were fewer Anglos than you can count on the fingers of your hands. He loved the Indians, and they loved him. He never wavered in his desire to make painting them his life's work. The Indians and the Aspens. I don't know which he painted better. Much obliged for listening, and remember, come find your West here at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum.